Hi, and welcome to Amplify, amplifying the good across Polk County schools. I'm your host, Tanya Ramirez from Teacher Engagement. Today, I'm excited to be talking to Miss Christine Gramza from Valley View. Hi, can you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Christine Gramza. Like you said, I work at Valley View. I am the instructional coach. I'm the only coach at my school, so I kind of dabble in math, reading, and science. A little bit about me. I actually grew up in Buffalo, New York. Go Bills. I went to college there, got my degree in education for my undergrad, and then my master's was in literacy. And I kind of taught there for a few years. My husband and I decided to move kind of after the pandemic. We wanted to be outside more, and he worked for Geico. So we just had a really good opportunity to relocate to Lakeland. And I'm a big Disney fan, so it really worked out for the both of us. So we've been in Florida for about 5, 6 years now, working in Polk County. So some of my personal hobbies, like I love Disney, reading, crafting. I have a dog, 2 cats, and a 3-year-old, so I'm quite busy, but we're loving our life down here in Florida.
Awesome. Great. And for listeners who might not know you, how would you describe your role on campus and the work that you do with teachers every day?
Sure. I would describe my role as service. Um, my job is to service teachers, to work with teachers and support them for their needs in the classroom. And that can look a little bit different for each teacher that I work with. Newer teachers or inexperienced teachers, I might be more hands-on in the classroom coaching, doing side-by-side coaching or modeling for them. Whereas some experienced teachers, maybe I'm doing professional development with them, or we're trying new strategies, or we're talking about plans. Another big piece of my role is looking at data for the school. I help track, our progress towards our SIP goal, how our students are doing for each progress monitoring. I help them talk about like MTSS and forming groups and who might need some remediation, things like that. And I also serve on the leadership team. So that kind of goes hand in hand with looking at that data, working towards our SIP goal, and then kind of other duties as assigned, working the PBIS store or helping with events, doing extracurriculars, things like that too.
Awesome. And you've also been deeply involved in your campus induction and mentoring your new teachers. What support does that look like in practice, and why do you think it's important to have a campus induction on for teacher success?
Absolutely. So the district actually kind of reformulated campus induction in the past couple of years, which I think has gone phenomenally. It's kind of like a book study where I meet monthly with my new teachers. Even if you're not new to teaching, you still might need support getting integrated into the district, kind of like I did. Coming from New York to Florida, I was a teacher already, but it was kind of like speaking a different language, learning the different benchmarks and the expectations and how things might be different in this district or in this state. So what it looks like now is I meet monthly with those teachers. We have a topic that we focus on each month, and it kind of builds throughout the school year. And I give them some practical strategies that they can go into the classroom and try. For example, classroom management might be in the beginning of the year, but then in the middle of the year, maybe we're looking at differentiation or helping students with special needs or ESOL students and how to best support them or try new strategies in the classroom. I do a lot of hands-on coaching cycles too. So that means I'll use some sort of data that I've compiled in the classroom to talk through the teacher with a new strategy that they could try. And then maybe I model it for them or they try out that strategy. And then we look at the data from that strategy and see if it improved instruction or student understanding at all. So it's been a lot more hands-on and I love it. They get the opportunity to do ghost walks as well. So they walk through other classrooms to see experienced teachers and their different ways of teaching. So I think that's been very beneficial. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from it.
Yeah, that does sound great. And you're keeping busy because you also serve on the assessment cadre. How has that experience shaped the way that you think about assessing students and instructional decision making?
Yeah, sure. So even as a coach, I found that there were some misconceptions that I had about assessment going into the assessment cadre, which was really interesting. I was on the formative assessment cadre this year and hoping to do the summative this upcoming school year. So one of the things that, for example, I learned was that you shouldn't be taking grades from formative assessments. And that was something as a new teacher, I was like, oh, exit ticket, let me put that in the grade book, and when we're thinking really about what a formative is, it's about assessing student understanding and then helping it lead our teaching. So we shouldn't be taking a grade from it. It's not the final understanding. So that was just really interesting, especially like supporting students during an assessment. It can be really hard to not give them that little nudge or that little piece that they need to understand to fully get the benchmark. So kind of taking that into account with assessments as well. Something that we've talked about at school now is how to implement formatives throughout the classroom day. So it's not something else you're doing. It's how to work an assessment into what you've already have planned. And that's been a big piece of learning that we've gotten this year from that.
Yeah, I like that. Let's work smarter, not harder, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. And when you're coaching teachers, what are some of the most effective formative assessment strategies that you've actually seen improvements in student learning?
Yeah, so one of the big ones is conferrals, which means an assessment doesn't have to be something on a piece of paper. It can be a quick chat with a student, or it can be done with peers. So you can actually have students partner up and do, some conferring. That, like we just said, it's not something else that you have to add into your day. It's just a quick part of your routine, but just assessments can look different. Exit tickets are great. Sticky note out the door type of things are also really good. But one of the big things is that it should connect back to the benchmark. You really have to think about, does the assessment I'm giving connect back to what the students should have learned to the full extent?
Mm-hmm. And you've also been working with teachers on error analysis. What does
Yeah.
that look like, and how can it help students develop stronger cognitive thinking?
Yeah, so error analysis is a really great way to help students and teachers kind of track patterns in their understanding and their learning. Because if you can identify that a student is making the same types of errors all the time, then you know what to fix, right? So, for example, with my teachers, we talk about 3 different types of errors. I'm going to like kind of give math as an example. There is kind of like, I don't understand the concept, right? Type of error. There's a computation error where you calculated incorrectly. And then there's kind of like a lazy error, like you really didn't give your best effort. And so when we work with students on this, we start, doing small groups with them, walking them through the types of errors that they're making. They look at the questions they answered and they try and figure out which type of errors they're making. And if they can identify like, oh, I just didn't understand how to make equivalent fractions before I add and subtract them. Or did I just make an error in the adding and subtracting of the fractions? If they can identify those patterns, that's going to help them understand what to fix the next time they go do those questions. We also talked about how, when you talk about grade recovery, that students could do this as a form of grade recovery, but you really don't want to wait until the summative to do error analysis because that's the grade that's going in the grade book, right? So we want to be thinking about error analysis and doing it on an exit ticket or on maybe their homework, but it could be used for grade recovery as well.
Awesome. Um, and to shift gears, because you have many hats that you wear,
Yes.
Valley View also recently won a Stage Connect Disney grant, which is amazing. What was the application process like, and why do you think that Valley View stood out and got the grant?
Yeah, so my mother-in-law actually emailed me the link and she's like, this is right up your alley, Disney. And so I was like, you know what? Let's try. And so I brought it to our team. We have 4 of us on our core team that we used to apply for the application for the grant. The first round, we just had to answer basic questions. And it was basically like, what sort of setup do you have at your school? Why do you think that your school would deserve to benefit from this grant? So we had to answer questions, and our team right away, we already started like thinking together. We each took questions that we wanted to answer and we wrote up our answers and we met and we discussed our answers and fine-tuned them. So once we got past the first round of just answering questions, the second round, we had to submit a video. So they gave us more questions, and we had to answer them on video and kind of like show our personalities. And they told us to try and stand out the best that we could. And so we were trying to think creatively. We talked about like dressing up and, doing some crazy stunts or filming around campus. What we ultimately did was we did some green screen work with Valley View, with space in the background, answering questions. And then we also threw in a lot of Disney puns into our answers. Like one of them was like, we're not just going to whistle while we work, you know. So we thought that really helped us stand out. We were adding a little bit of wit into the questions there. After submitting that, then we finally heard that, yay, we got it. So we're very excited about that.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
you'll be serving as the executive producer for the Disney Kids musical.
Yep.
What can you tell us about that? The training, the team that's involved, the vision, and how do you plan on making this just more than a one-time thing?
Absolutely. So we have a core team of 4 people, a couple ELA teachers, and our music teacher. She's going to serve as our director. And then our 2 ELA teachers on the team. One is going to be like the stage crew handling production, and then the other one is going to be our acting coach. And we all have backgrounds in like theater and musicals, so it really worked well that we kind of were able to pull this team together. My job is going to be mostly like the producing. So I'm going to work on the playbill and organization of events and funding and things like that. We're really, really hoping that we could do like a reinvestment model where we'll get proceeds towards our musical this year from tickets and shirt sales and fundraising. And then hopefully part of that money can be spent next year. And we're really hoping to invest in long-term items that we could use for different things, like more like costume pieces that we could turn into something else or that will stand the test of time, and it's not just kind of a one-time use thing. We also were able to talk with the community, and one of the local vacation Bible schools was able to give us some set pieces for our musical this year. So we've already got like the set coming together and things starting to look very decorated in the stage.
That's great. Well, it sounds
Yeah,
like a lot of great things are going on at Valley View, and thank you so
absolutely.
much for being a part of it. Like, I'm so happy to hear everything that's happening there. Before I let you go, I just have one question that I ask everybody, and that's what was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
My favorite cartoon as a kid was Hey Arnold.
Oh, all right. I remember
Yep.
that
Yep. Hey Arnold. I still remember a lot of the episodes, I think.
one. Well, thank you very much. I hope you have a great summer and enjoy your school year next year. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Yeah,
Until
thank you so
next
much for
time,
having me.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.